The Nintendo 64 is one of my all-time favorite consoles. And I don't care what anybody says. This controller is freaking amazing. Nobody was complaining about it back in the day. Nobody. Like, I think it's people that didn't grow up with it who see it now and it's like, how did you hold this? This is a monstrosity. You held it like this. I've got man-sized hands, average man-sized hands. I don't have baby hands. And this is one of the most comfortable controllers known to mankind. But it is flawed. I give you that. It is flawed. Not because there's three, handles that you could swap around depending on, how the game played or whatever. The flaw was this, the analog stick, the design there. You get that limp stick syndrome and it's all over, man. Freaking sucks. So over the years, I love this system, over the years I've looked at plenty of different options as far as fixing those sticks, replacing those sticks, that kind of thing. Companies have been putting out replacement controllers, new versions of controllers. But my preference is the original. I'm not going to lie. I've made that clear before. I love this controller. It's the only way I could play the Nintendo 64. But with all these options, like, hey, I even like using the little blue retro adapter with the Switch Online Nintendo 64 controller. That's cool. But I've kind of went over tons of different options. But now Retrobit, the fine peeps over at Retrobit, they are releasing a new drop-in replacement stick. This is a Japanese-made Hall Effect replacement stick for your Nintendo 64 controller. Now, they sent me one a while ago to try out, and they're releasing it. Pre-orders are live. Comes out a little bit later on this year. If you're interested, link down below. But we're going to test this in this video. This is a pretty much near final, version of it, but it was for testing. So it should be fairly similar to what they released. And I really didn't have too much of an issue with this thing. And I'm not going to bore you with tearing this apart and installing it. It's simple. It takes a couple minutes. Retrobit made a video that's like 2 minutes long showing taking out the screws and then just dropping it in. So yeah, very simple. Anybody could, swap that stick. It's not complicated, but this is a chunky boy here. It is a fatter stick, right? It's kind of like the GameCube style replacements, which these kind of suck, man. But I've tried these in the past. They get the job done if it's all you got. If you got that limp stick where your controller, the stick is just like tilted to the side and it's unusable, anything's better than that, I guess, right? But one of my favorite options was the Kishbent. These replacement bowls, gears, and everything. I have my stockpile of them just in case. Lube up the bowl with the super lube and, ready to go. I love that. It's a little harder to do than just a drop-in replacement, but really the problem with the analog sticks is how it grinds the bowl and you get that white powder all around. It kind of sucks, but so I got that going. But here with this replacement, they're like $15. Hall Effect, so you're not going to get that drift like you would with other sticks. You're not going to get that grinding action, messing it all up. But let's go into this controller test tool just to kind of show what to expect with this, right? So hit the A button, jump in there. Now, nothing, I'm just going to be straight up, nothing that is produced out there that isn't just like replacement parts for, the things that go bad in the original. Nothing is going to be exactly the same as an original stick. So you have to keep that in mind. But when it's perfectly like, everything's the same as far as the readouts and the ranges aren't crazy off, I think they can be a suitable replacement. And I think, that's where we are with this. So let me go ahead and skip to that part. So benchmark. This, if you mess up, you're going to get weird numbers. So I'm going to shut up for a frickin' second here and make sure I'm doing this correctly. You go to each angle. There we go. Ugh. Yeah, if you're off a little bit, the numbers will read weirdly. But there's the benchmark results for the Retrobit Hall Effect stick here. So we're getting 95 on all directions, up, down, left, right. Very what is the word? Symmetrical. It's evenly around, right? So if you hit A, you could cycle through. This would be like a new original analog stick. We'll test an original analog stick in a second here just to compare. So a new original, you're going to get those 84, 85 ranges. And that could be like, you could get one fresh out of the box and the numbers aren't going to be exactly the same as that. So keep that in mind. And then this would be like a different analog stick replacement where the ranges are over 100. Kind of a little, you know, mixed up a bit, but fairly close, but still a little loppy. And then a fake OEM style analog stick, a little loppy, a little weird. GameCube style analog stick. The ranges, you know, they're all 88, but then you get that square going. So this, you know, definitely is closer to an original. So there's my analog benchmark, 95s across the board. A new original, around 85 average, but, you know, kind of mixing it up. So we're going to swap to from this. We'll test this out in the game real quick in a minute, but let's switch to the original here. Let's switch to an original and try to do the same test. So there we go. A little loppy. Like I said, this is like a 9.5 out of 10 on the tightness scale. And those numbers are a little, you know, not perfect. It's just the way it is, right? Let's switch to the Kismet real quick, which is almost, you know, a 1-for-1 replacement of the original components, but the same module and everything, just the plastic components. The bowl, the gears, and the actual stick have been swapped. And the bowl lubed up with that super silicone lubricating grease. But let's try it. And there we go. This one's a little wonky too. Like, you're never getting the same numbers. Even if you could like find new old stock of N64 controllers, have like 10 controllers, and they're all going to register different, slightly different. You don't want them to register too crazy off, but there we go on that. Let's go ahead and get the retro bit back in. This kind of, you know, give you an idea of what to expect. So a little Mario 64 with the retro bit Hall effect. So just kind of moving a little bit. You know, they say this is a more comfortable stick, and it definitely, for extended use, it's definitely more comfortable than these hard, smaller sticks. But, you know, this got like kind of a, I don't know, like a rubberized grip to it. The motion feels good. Let's go full speed. Let's see how quick, like, when does he go full speed? All right, he goes full speed. Maybe about a millimeter before it hits the edge. Let me see if it's the same for the other side. Yeah, about the same. Looks like Mario gets to about full speed, about a millimeter. Let me see if I can show that. Yeah, if you could see that, about a millimeter before it hits the edge, Mario gets to full speed. Let's try with the original. About the same. Like, I'm not hitting the edge. So about the same, about a millimeter before he hits full speed. So there we go. I mean, the way this is benchmarking, it's very uniform. Having those Hall effect stick, just one stick, right? It feels great. I think it's a nice replacement for $15 to get a Hall effect stick for your Nintendo 64. Hell, why not? There's so many beat up ass Nintendo 64 controllers out there with, you know, limp stick syndrome going on, that I think this is a great option. It's definitely different than the original, the OEM, but being very uniform, responding extremely well. I'm happy with it. I like it. I've left it in my controller for a few months now and been using it because I do like it. So there you go. If you're interested, there'll be a link down below. Appreciate you guys. Bye.